Hello everyone, welcome back to my knowledge share session. Learn with me. Today we are going to continue on the same topic, cloud platform integration. Inside that we are looking the Groovy script. I already made a couple of videos on this Groovy script on our introduction and as well as how we can merge the XML file using a Groovy script. And in that approach, today we are going to focus on how we can validate the incoming JSON message using a Groovy script with the help of a Json schema. Okay, so now we can see what is a JSON file and what is a JSON schema. Then I will show you how we can incorporate the validations inside the schema. Then I will show you how we are going to use that schema file inside my Groovy script to validate the incoming JSON message. Okay, so just overview. From this JSON message will come inside the Groovy script. This is my Groovy script. Inside the Groovy script I will put my JSON schema and I will use my Groovy statements to validate the incoming JSON message with the help of the JSON schema and confirm that the message is correct as per the requirement or not. Okay, now we shall see what is my JSON file and how I am going to convert to a JSON schema. Then how I am going to incorporate the validations inside the schema definition. Okay, and this is my JSON file. It is very simple now, which has the order ID and it has a customer has email and age, and there is another object called items. Items is an array which has the product ID and the quantity. That's it. Okay, now we will see how we are going to convert this JSON to a JSON schema using an online converter. There is an online converter called transform.tools JSON to JSON schema. There I will pass my JSON. It will give me back the JSON schema definitions, right, like that. So most of you know all these things. Just to review back, so the order ID will come here as order ID, which is primarily it will say type string. Then customer is an object, right, because it contains two elements, age, email and age. So the customer object is having an email which is of type string, age is of the type number, and both are required, right. Same way the items which is an array, it says array, and inside the items you will have a properties called product ID and type. So product ID is as a type string and type is quantities of type number. That's all. So the schema definition gives me a very basic definition with respect to the data types. Now what I am going to do is I am just going to copy this schema definition into my notepad, and I will be adding furthermore validations inside this. Okay, so what I did is I went to the notepad and copy paste that file here, the schema definition file, this content I copied into notepad. Okay, in that I added furthermore validations, right, like that. So what I did is I did order ID. So previously it gives me order ID of type string, then I further added the pattern. This is a regex pattern, regular expression. Okay, I am not going to more detail on what is regular expression, what are the formats available. If required we can have a separate videos on that. But right now we will focus on the how to incorporate the validations inside the JSON schema, so that I can use that schema inside my Groovy script. Okay, so this is the pattern of the order ID. The order ID should be in this format. Then for a customer, email I did not put any validation, I kept it as it is. For a age I added the validations called minimum and maximum. And for the items, Same way, product ID, I did not do any validation. Only for quantity I put minimum should be 1, and here minimum items should be 1 overall, right? And for overall JSON, order ID is mandatory, customer information mandatory, and items is also mandatory. So this is the validations. I made it in the Json schema. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this JSON schema as a string inside my Groovy script. Then I will write a Groovy statements to validate the incoming JSON message along with the schema definition and validation I maintained it. Right. So that we will see it in a Groovy script. What are the statements available and how we are going to validate that incoming JSON file along with this schema definition, and if any errors, how we are going to handle it as exceptions. Okay. Now I will go to Groovy script and I will start writing that. And see how it works. Okay. Okay. And now we will start writing the Groovy script in the online editor. As I told you, this is the online editor ide.contivo.com, which will simulate the CPI environment so that we can write your code, Groovy code here, send your incoming message and test it out whether it is working fine or not. Okay. So in the same approach, I am using the same IDE, ide.contivo.com. In that I am going to write a script. Okay. Let me start writing a script now. I already wrote a script, so I will copy paste one by one and explain you what are the things we are going to do it. Okay. So this is my script. So as usual, the import objects which I want to use it, I am going to import it. Okay. This is for the message. And I'm going to parse the JSON, so I'm going to use the JSON slurper, and then the output, I'm going to write the JSON, so I'm going to use the JSON output. Okay. And then as usual, this Groovy script will start like this. JSON message, and I will close it. This is the usual template you will get it when you start writing the Groovy script in the CPI. The very first thing, this statement you will be knowing, so I am going to use that body message get body as a string. So I will get a input message in a body variable. Then okay, now what we did is, let me go to the schema object. This is the schema object we wrote it, right? The JSON file is converted to this JS schema object, and then I added the validations here. So I'm going to the whole JS schema object, I'm going to write it as a string. Okay. So what I will do is I will create this. I'm going to copy it as a string in my variable. The sample JSON schema I replace with the actual schema, right? So this is the schema object. It's not a sample, sorry, it is not a sample. This is the schema object. I copy paste that the JST here, which will come as a triple double quote string. This means it is a string with multi-line. That's what in a Groovy we can have this kind of variable, which will store my string which is having a multi-lines. That I will create it as a string object with triple double quote string, right? So my schema is defined here. Okay. That's all. Now let us continue one by one. Now I am going to start with a try catch approach. So I will say try. In the catch, if it is any error, I am going to use this catch. Okay. It is always recommended to use a try catch so that you can catch your exceptions in a clean way. So try catch is done. Okay. Now inside the try catch, let us do one by one. Define these statements. So define new object, slurper object. Then I'm going to take it as a payload. So in the whatever the body we received here, I'll be using the slurper to parse the text. So everything I will get it in a variable called payload. Then I'm going to create one more object called schema object. Schema object using the slurper, the JSON slurper object. I pass that the schema variable which I created here, right? Using the triple quoted string. The schema file will be loaded here and that will be stored as a schema object. That's all. This is what you have to remember. To validate your JSON file with the help of a JSON schema, then you need to have the schema object. The schema object will have your schema definitions. Okay, now we are going to use this schema object for the validations one by one. Okay, so I will create one array called errors. Okay, errors is created. Now let us first validate the order ID. Now you note it down one by one. Validate order ID. How I am going to validate? From the payload, whatever we receive in the payload, I am going to read the order ID. Right? What is let me open my JSON here. I'm going to this order ID, case sensitive, right? Order ID, I capital. Okay, payload, from the payload, read the order ID, question mark dot, which matches the schema object. Now you see that schema object, properties, order ID, pattern. Right? This is what I'm going to read it, which I already defined in my schema. Order ID, pattern. So properties, order ID, pattern. So schema object, properties, order ID and pattern. That's all. This is the syntax we are going to follow for everything. So remember, you store your schema in a string and create a schema object of that schema string. Then from the payload, use matches keyword, and this is the full syntax. The schema object dot properties dot order ID dot pattern. Whatever you have it in the schema, the same structure. Properties, order ID, pattern. Right? So what it says, if order ID, if not, so you put in a not statement here, right? Not, that means it is not following the pattern. Then I'm going to create a error invalid order ID format. So if it does not follow the rejects pattern, then it is going to give error. Okay, let me open the another customer. Validate customer. Validate customer. Same way, if the customer is blank, then I will say customer details are missing. Yes. Then same way, payload.customer.age. So this will be read. Same way, is less than schema object properties customer properties age minimum. So the whole structure will be read like this. Customer properties age minimum. Schema object are properties, right? schema object dot properties, the same properties, then customer, then properties, customer, properties, age and minimum, right? Age and minimum. So this will be read. So this value will be read as a 18. If that age, whatever payload coming from here, the 18 is less than 18, then it will say customer age is below the minimum allowed. So that is the one kind of validations. Now let us open the another validations. Items. So I will use the same thing, items. Payload items is blank, then items array is missing or empty. The same way, payload or items dot each. Now it form a for loop because item is array, right? This item is an array, so I have to form a for loop. In the for loop, I will check one by one product ID. If product ID is missing, it says product ID is missing. Otherwise, same way, item quantity. This will be read, which is less than schema object properties, items, properties, quantity, and minimum. Same way, items, properties, quantity, minimum. This way it will read. Schema object properties, items, properties, quantity, and minimum. If that is less than that, then it is the quantity below the minimum allowed in an item. That's it. So these are the three properties we are going to do that. Okay, that end. Finally, I am going to use this thing, if errors. If that errors are anywhere, the errors are errors an array. If there is an errors, then it will say JSON set body, JSON output to JSON. This will create a JSON file. So put some header parameters called validation errors file. Otherwise, it will say message validation error success. Okay. Now what we have to do is we have to set the body, right? So here also we will set the body. Message dot set body as a all output errors will be put in. That's all. Now the catch is a normal system errors. Whenever any problem inside your tenant, that exception will be caught here. Right? That's it. Now finally, we have to return the message. Finally, I have to return the message. Right? That's it. I will repeat again. So I imported the packages, then I get the body, then I create a schema object, then using a try catch I created a slurper object instance, then I read the payload from the body, then I create a schema object, then I created one array called errors, then I will start my validations. In the validations I will use the schema object in the same structure. You can follow whatever the schema definition you have in the same way you can do that. To start with the schema object, then mostly the properties will come. After that properties, your steps, your structure. Here I have a customer properties age minimum like that. Right? That's it. This is how we will be using as schema definitions to validate the incoming schema. Okay. Now let us run it and execute it and how it works. So I will run it. As such, no error. So it returned me the same message as it is. Okay. Now what we'll do is I will change the pattern. The pattern is I will say 1, 2, 3 again, which is not belongs to the same thing, right? Same pattern. What pattern it should be? It should be 8 characters only, and first 8 characters will be first. It should be text, and then next it should be integer. Okay. Now I put something different, so I will execute now. see it says invalid order format, so that this statement is executed. Invalid order format, this statement is executed. Now I will validate the customer. I will put age. Age is minimum. I checked only. I did not use any maximum here. So, but in my I put maximum here. But in the Groovy script, I did not mention anything about maximum, so it will not validate anything on the maximum. It will validate only on the minimum. So remember, whatever the specifications you are giving in the JSON schema, the same thing you have to write it in a Groovy script also. Okay, so let us do one thing. I will put minimum. I will say 11, and I will say execute it. So it says in array. I put it in a thing, right? Invalid order format has come, comma, customer age is below minimum, not allowed. Okay. Now let us execute another one. Items. In the items, I will say product ID. I will keep product ID, and the minimum quantity is, I will say 0. I will execute it. So invalid order format is there, customer is there, quantity below is in an item. That is the one thing. Okay. Now I will correct it here. So that order format gone. Then I will say this is 21. So only quantity is problem. So I will put 2 quantity here. Execute it. Good. Now the message is completely correct. Okay. So then now the script is working fine now. Now we are at the time for us to use this script inside my iFlow. Okay. So this ID helps us to simulate the CPI environment to send a message as it is you want. Then write a Groovy script to validate this using a schema. Then find out your output. Okay. Hope you got the point of how the schema definition is used inside the script to validate your incoming schema message. Okay. Now we will use, now the third step is, now we will use the same script inside my iFlow. Okay. Okay. Now I am inside the iFlow. So I created one iFlow already. So we will go through that quickly. So I created one iFlow called demo.groovy2. Okay. In that I created one Groovy script palette. Okay. I think it is not in edit mode. Let me go to edit. Processing. I will go to edit. So it will give me a template. So I don't want the template now. I'm going to use my own script. Okay. So let us go to my IDE, where whatever I wrote here, that I'm going to copy it here. I copy it here and I will paste it here in my Groovy script. Okay. It's the same script. We are not going to do anything more on that. I will store this and I will apply this. The script is applied as of now, no warnings and no informations. So I will close it. Okay. I will save it now. It is saved now. So I don't want to deploy now. Let us do it in a simulation way only. So I will go here. I will start my simulation. I will go here, end my simulation. Then in the simulation, I am going to pass my content. Okay. This is the JSON I am going to pass it. So it gives me Control C. I will pass my JSON here. Then I will OK. Let us simulate it. Simulation is successful. Let me go here in my body. After the Groovy Script, what is my body? The body is same as it is, right? So which does not have any problems. So let me open this script again. I will say put some $. Okay. Now I will simulate again. So again successfully completed. So I will go here and see my body. So invalid order format, the error has come. Same way I will put, what is the way I will put the same value here, ABC 1 2 3 4 5, ABC 1 2 3 4 5. So here instead of age I am putting 11, and I will put validation also here. I will say quantity 0. Okay. Now I will simulate again. So the simulation is successful. Let me go to my message. So I will say body. So now it says customer age is below the minimum. That error has also come, and I will say quantity is below minimum allowed in an item. So now the JSON script is working fine. Okay, this is how we can validate the incoming JSON in the iFlow. So in this iFlow, I simply put the validation only. Further, what you can do is you see in this, when you come here, we are already put the header parameter, right, in the body. And in the header parameter, we already set the validation status. So using this validation status, whether it is a success or failed, you can use on a router here, and you can divert your control according to that, right? Okay, this is how we will be validating the incoming JSON file inside the iFlow using a Groovy script with the help of the JSON schema. So writing a JSON schema is having its own methods. You can find it on Google. There are a lot of patterns, a lot of validation things are available. So you can try this. I will put this JSON message in my description column. You can create your own JSON schema and try this exercise. Okay. Hope this will be helpful to you. Please update your comments how it useful to you, and if you have any questions, please update. I will be very happy to reply you back. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching.